everyone. Welcome back. Our last guest is a pianist, composer, and educator who's a force to be reckoned with in the jazz community. Her release of her new album, Groovitude, soared to number 14 on the Jazz Week national radio charts and remained in the top 20 for several consecutive weeks. Featuring guest spots from Grammy Award-winning artist, jazz drummer Terry Lynn Carrington, bassist John Lockwood, and many more. With rave reviews from fans and music critics, as well as members of the Korean Cultural Center and Korean Cultural Society, here now to share more is on her groovy journey, we should say, is pianist, composer, and educator, Hey Rim Jeon. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Rhina.
Yes.
Hi. Reina in Spanish means queen.
That would be me.
But another to be the queen today.
Well, one queen to another queen,
Wow.
because you're a queen in our world.
Well, I just want to tell you, your pronunciation is great. So my first name, Hey Rim, means in Korean, abundance in mercy. And the last name, John, means perfection or completion.
Abundance and mercy
Beautiful.
and
Yes.
perfection
Yeah, the last name means perfection or completeness.
with completeness.
Yeah, completeness. Yeah.
With completeness. Okay, so, prior to this interview, one of the conversations that I had with one of the guests was geared towards mercy and grace in one being. So you actually walk around with this affirmation every time somebody calls your name.
Yes.
How
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And it was from my parents. Of course, could have had my English name, and I decided to keep my name because when parents actually give your name, they thought about for a long time and probably given the name that you can live up to. So I wanted to keep my name, and I liked it.
I love it. Hey Rim is abundance, mercy, and John is perfection of completeness.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's a lot to live up to, though.
Yes, I'm still working on it.
But it's a wonderful thing to live into, right? So let's talk about, I guess, first of all, keeping your name, not Americanizing it, right? And how important that's been for you to represent your community, not only through your music, even though jazz is kind of like this interesting, fluid sound that kind of merges all kinds of music, instruments, sounds, rhythms, and so forth, but even your role as a professor at Berkeley. And being, if I'm not mistaken, the first Korean professor?
That's correct. Yeah, I became first assistant professor in 2010, and that was an honor. And since I was a student in 1997, I came here as an international student from Korea directly to Berklee College of Music. And at the first day that I arrived, one of Korean student was talking, we have so many international students here, especially Korean students. We need someone represent our culture. We need a Korean professor. As soon as I heard it in the piano department, waiting for my signing up for my private lesson, I said, whoa, that's pretty cool goal. So I made it within 10 years. I think I want to be the first Korean faculty. So I became one.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and thanks for sharing the backstory,
Thank
right?
you.
Because you came in as an international student.
Correct.
And you already knew how to move.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of being in New York, though. Isn't that the beauty of being in New York? It's like you can manifest these kind of possibilities.
Yes, yes. And I've been performing and doing many of these kind of interviews and my CD releases in jazz, Berlin and other places. And I'm located at Berkeley, which is in Boston. And I've always been reside in Boston as a resident because of my work and oriented everything in Boston.
Got it. So for clarity purposes, she's like, no, I'm repping Boston.
But I love to come to New York. Thank you for calling me.
Well, you mentioned Birdland, and I understand that you had a nice big presentation there. I mean, you've been performing for a while now, so why don't you share with us, like, what has stood out for you the most, especially having come out of a pandemic?
Well, I think the best part of releasing your album, pre, I would say after the pandemic, was like last year, October 2022. That's when I released my album. And this year's February 21st, I had my album released in Scholar Jazz Club in Boston. And it's been the best jazz club in the world, in the international jazz venue. And I had a great opportunity to have my sold out concert in the Birdland in March 7th in New York. I also had the full house concert to release my album. So I think people are just ready to come out and enjoy and being together. And of course, having the good reason to be out, like having a CD release like that, I think it motivate more people to come out too. So I appreciate their efforts, my friends and fans and colleagues, and come out and support my new music. So that was very special to me.
So first, let's talk about how you became so attached to the piano, and then let's talk about how you are able to communicate through it as an extension of you, your culture, because I listen to your music and you definitely have your own unique thing going on. That is kind of like, I could do all kinds of stuff to this.
Correct. You're absolutely correct. Well, according to my mom, I was like around 3 years old. And my mom was always a lover of music and also piano. She loved the piano. So as soon as she found out I had interest, that she was taking me to the piano teacher, and she was asking the teacher if you can try her, giving. And the first piano teacher said, "Oh, she's so young. Maybe you will wait one more year, And then she begged her, maybe you can try one lesson and then decide, So she did it, and she kept me since then. So it was biggest influence was, of course, a lot of musicians are, their parents. Especially for me, it was mom who loves music, who was a good singer. So I started taking
Your mom
lessons.
was your advocate to get you in
Yes,
there
exactly.
prematurely.
Exactly.
Right? Because that's all that was. You
Yes.
were like, well, we're going to negotiate here.
Yes.
We've got a genius in the house.
So I, learned and studied, of course, all the repertoires. I studied classical music, as a lot of people do. And I found myself, as much as I love to develop my techniques and repertoires, if I hear something from the TV or cartoon, I just go to piano and playing what I heard. So I love to play by ear. So I always
That's why you love jazz.
Yes, that's what I didn't know. That was the basis, fundamental process of being a jazz musician. So later, in my teens, I listened to Oscar Peterson, who had the same background as mine. Grew up as a classical musician, and yet he used all the things that he learned from classical, put it into jazz and made his own. His solo piano and trio. It was just amazing. And someone said that he's improvising. And they was like, what is improvising? What does that mean? And I got hooked up.
Yeah. You got hooked on improvising. You're like, I'm going to bring in
Making
all
your
my
own.
skills. I'm going to bring in my skills and use them whatever way I feel in the moment.
Yes.
It's a beautiful way to exist in life. Right? Metaphorically as well. Now, we're running out of time, but I want to make sure that we mention that you have been acknowledged as a Marquis Who's Who of 2022, and then we can segue into Groovitude, because I think you're going to give us a taste of something from Groovitude.
Yes, I will play one song at the end as one of my originals, and with also in the album. And you mentioned the amazing, accomplishment in myself, and you will be on next, answer. And Marquis Who's Who, I was honored to be on. It's their 75th edition. It's a diamond edition, and along with the amazing Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise and George Clooney, and also Chick Corea, who is a jazz pianist who just passed away. All these amazing people were in the same book, with the 2,500, this beautiful book. So I was honored to be in there.
In the Marquis Who's Who of 2022, alongside these names.
Exactly.
And this is like a book that was the 75th anniversary, you're saying, right?
Yes.
And this is a book that gets archived in the Library of Congress that people can research for years to come, right? And then you have your own copy?
Yes, I do. And it's a beautiful copy that I received, 2,500 page
It's like its own like
Excellent.
Bible, right?
Yes, yes, it is. It's a huge, and it's like you have to be careful not to cut yourself on. That's how big it is. Yes.
Really?
It is beautiful.
Well, I want to
yes.
congratulate you on
Thank
that,
you.
and thank you for mentioning that. In case you guys missed it, I'm going to be part of the Marquis Who's Who
Yes.
in America of 2023.
You're well deserved.
Thank
So
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
And I
I'm
just
looking
wanna-
forward to that book.
Excellent.
But yes, you wanted to say?
Yeah, and the upcoming summer edition for She Exists, I was featured as a featured artist as well, and that will be on, and I hope everyone have a chance to look at it.
In the magazine?
Yes.
Nice. Congratulations on
Thank
that
you.
as well. And then, of course, we're going to get a taste of Groovitude when
Excellent.
we come back from break.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Hey Rim, everyone. And once again, if you missed it, Hey Rim means abundance of mercy. And of course, her last name is John, perfection of completeness. Don't go anywhere because when we return, Hey Rim, John is going to perform for us after the break. And it's going to be groovy. You don't want to miss.